Wow, what another crazy day in the stock market. Micron passed $1,000. ARM continued to pop, and many of the stocks that we talked about yesterday in that seven stock video went bananas today. But the peace deal, ceasefire deal just got canceled. What's going on there? We'll talk about all that. All I ask from you is that you give me a beautiful smile, send out those good vibes, smishity smash that like button, and let's get into it. So the big news, we'll get to the stocks in just a second, but the big news was a turn of events. Exactly 9 days ago, President Trump said a deal with Iran was coming shortly. Today, Iran has officially backed out of all negotiations with the U.S. And is threatening to block both the Strait of Hormuz and Bab el-Mandeb. And also, President Trump said the U.S. Navy will continue its blockade of the Strait of Hormuz as Iran says it ended negotiations with the U.S. due to ceasefire violations. President Trump told NBC News he had not been informed of Iran's decision ahead of time. So this is what I was feeling. This is what I was thinking that was going to happen. I did not think that a deal was going to get signed, especially after everything that I read and I saw what Iran was asking. I saw what President Trump said he would it was a red line for him, the nuclear weapons, and we just saw it fall apart. It's not surprising to me. If we go and we look at what oil did pop, but not in a huge way. We saw, up 3%. It did jump to 94, but then pull back a little bit. And the stock market did really good. We had ARM popping 15%. Right? We've talked about ARM before. We've had AMC popping 22%. Actually, their CEO came out and said that there was a really good quarter, the best that they've had since basically before the pandemic. And the general, the Nasdaq was up 0.6%. The S&P 500 was up 0.27%. There was a little bit of sell-off there in the last few minutes. Nvidia had a huge day, up 6.26%. Palantir with another good day, up 2.63%. Tesla with a bad day, down 4.5%. AMD also not the best day, down minus 1.6%. We got Dell continued a very nice, another 10% there. And Micron up 6.64%. SanDisk up almost 4%. AAOI, Applied Electro Optics, up 17% today. And some of the ones that we talked about just yesterday, Marvel up 7%, Light up 5%, CoreWeave up almost 14%. GLW was down, but NBIS up another 14%. So massive day here in the stock market. And it will be very interesting to see what happens here now, especially for Micron. We talked about the fact that the 1,000 level was a level that I was looking at to see if we could potentially break out there for Micron stock, or would we see a potential pullback? And we did see Micron break out from that 1,000 level. And now the question is, what are the levels going to be? Because when you have a situation where you're creating new all-time highs, you only have support levels. You don't have resistance levels. And most of the time, the resistance levels that you see after an new all-time high are round numbers. So traders will put, for example, for Micron, it's probably going to be 1,050, 1,100. Areas like that are going to be areas where we're probably going to see some resistance. And the question is, can it go through that and go to the upside, or will there be a rejection in that area? And then these areas, these new highs, become support. And so that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. We do have some earnings that are coming this week. Monday, we have HP and SAIC. Tuesday, we have Palo Alto Networks, Ulta, which is cosmetics, I think, right? DG, SIG. SIG, I think, is jewelry, right? Then on Wednesday, very interesting for the chip stocks, we have Avgo. So their earnings could be very important for what we could see going forward. Crowd, right? AI, Vive, 5M, and Ollie, Lulu, Daco, and PL, and ABM coming on Friday. So not a lot of stocks, but there's enough that's coming in. We also have employment data that we talked about recently on the channel that is going to be coming out over the next coming days. And it will be very interesting to see what could potentially come from that, and where could potentially the markets go. Right now, when we're looking, the market, some will say it's stretched to the upside. it's too high and things like that, that it needs to pull back. If you look at the VIX, interestingly, the VIX, it's still under 20. So anything under 20 is considered pretty bullish, but we did have a green day on the VIX. And so that's going to be something that I want to watch over the next few days because it was green. I think because a little bit of the freak out here of the ceasefire being basically canceled. What does this mean for the stock market going forward? Do we see a situation where um, we see a little bit of a pullback because of these headlines? Do things kick off during the night? Does Iran suddenly start attacking countries in the Middle East? Do they start attacking oil infrastructure, energy infrastructure? What does the US do now? Does the US just sit on its hands, or does the US start attacking as well? A lot of these things are going to affect what could potentially happen here in the next coming days in the stock market. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think we're going to see the markets pop here? Or do you think we're going to see the markets pull back a little bit on these headlines? It is what it is. I look at the stock market right now and it's doing so amazing. Not everything is doing amazing, but many stocks are going up. And I feel like this is a little bit of a trap because what happens is, especially with social media, is that people are going to be posting their huge gains, or wow, I just did this trade and that trade. Oh, look at me, right? And then you sit it in your house and you're like, oh, well, I need to be aggressive right now, right? Look at what's happening. And when people start getting over aggressive and they do things that they shouldn't do, and I'm going to tell you, I just did a trade that I shouldn't have done. And I didn't have the right precautions and I messed it up. I'm human too. Like I have mistakes. Sometimes I'm very, very successful, and sometimes I have a mistake. Sometimes I mess up. Sometimes I'm too greedy. I've had a few very good days, and today wasn't a very good day. Even though I had 5 or 6 good trades, one trade I overdid it, and so that put a sour taste. So this is very important, especially if you're day trading, to know that. If you're if you're swing trading, if you're long-term investing, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit mindset that you have to go into it. But I've been around the bush many times. I've made a lot of mistakes. I try to minimize it, but sometimes you're just human. You don't think, you do it, you act, and then you make mistakes. This has been a good wake up call for me because I've had many good days, and now I have to remind myself to follow my rules, right? And so that's very, very important to remember. And so we'll see how this week plays out in the stock market. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Do you think we're going to see some nice movement here, continuation, or will this headline kind of mess things up? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.